Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Cops appeal for information on murder elderly couple, wounding of teen in St. Anne. The police are continuing their appeal for information in Wednesday's triple shooting in Woodstock, Claremont in St. Anne, which resulted in the deaths of an elderly couple and wounding of a teenager. The deceased are 68-year-old David Nemard and his 61-year-old wife Thelma, both of Woodstock in the parish. Police reports are that about 5:50 p.m., the couple and the teen were at home when armed men gained entry into the dwelling. They opened gunfire, hitting all three occupants before escaping. The three wounded persons were taken to hospital, where the Nemards were pronounced dead. The wounded teen was admitted for treatment. Investigations are ongoing. PM not ruling out cartel as Vax ambassador. Incarcerated dancehall DJ at DJ Vibes Cartel Palmer may have a role to play in the government's pro-vaccination campaign. Addressing a query by a reporter about Palmer's recruitment in promoting the COVID-19 jab, Prime Minister Andrew Holness did not rule out the entertainer's possible involvement in rallying Jamaicans. In a national emergency such as a pandemic, we in the government of Jamaica would enlist the support of all well-willing citizens in encouraging persons to take the vaccine, Holness said, following a stop at the Caribbean Palms Community Center in St. Andrew, Southwestern, where a Minister of Health and Wellness vaccination bliss was being conducted on Friday. Anti-vaxxer rhetoric and hesitancy are rift in Jamaica, evidence of which was observed at the bliss, which appeared to have more healthcare workers and volunteers than persons for the take-up. Their aversion was further revealed in an RJR Commission Don Anderson poll, which found that 70% of those canvassed are opposed to mandatory COVID-19 vaccine, even as the deadly third wave continues to ravage the country. The poll was conducted between August 19 and September 3rd among 1,003 Jamaicans. There have been calls for the government to enlist the support of Palmer, one of the most influential figures in the country's entertainment industry. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton and his opposition counterpart, Dr. Maurice Guy, have both indicated that they would find favor with any incorporation of the entertainer in spreading the message of the need to take the COVID-19 jab. There is no doubt that Vibes Cartel is an influencer with many fans throughout the country. If he can influence others to take it, that would be good. I would be willing to work with the penal system to explore how it could be done, Tufton said recently. Palmer, who is serving a 35-year sentence for murder, received his first dose of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine on September 3rd. He is reportedly doing well since getting the shot. In terms of how government structures its programs, the existence of a pandemic, of an emergency, does not always justify the dispensing of rules and regulations and laws and policies and principles, Holness said on Friday. So we make a general call for every citizen of Jamaica to support and use their influence, he added. The Prime Minister said the government has sought to get the support of influential groups in the pro-vaccination campaign, but noted that not everyone could readily respond. Palmer has reportedly recorded many songs from prison in contravention of regulations during his more than decade-long detention, causing embarrassment to correctional officials. His interview with American television station in August added to all of that. Holness said, however, within their fraternities, people will find their own ways of mobilizing support. We have a national program, and that program has to follow all the laws and guidelines and procedures, so that will prescribe how we engage. So my short answer to you is, we encourage everyone from all walks of life, wherever you are, whatever your status, whatever your station, if you can support and add your voice, please go ahead and do so, said Holness. He added that signing on to a stage program to show support is not always necessary. Palmer's lawyer, Mr. Buchanan, reported that his client made mature decision in taking the vaccine to protect himself and to encourage his family. The lawyer, however, said that Palmer is not in a position to participate in any ongoing campaign. Persons are free to make that decision on their own, he said. Buchanan had previously supported the inclusion of cartel and other entertainers in the public education drive. approximately 7% of the Jamaican population is fully vaccinated, the country is targeting 65% herd immunity by March 2022.
We make a general call for everyone, every citizen of Jamaica, to support and use their influence. In a national emergency, such as a pandemic, we in the government of Jamaica would enlist the support of all well-thinking citizens in encouraging persons to take the vaccine. And this is a general law in terms of how the government would structure its programs. The existence of a pandemic, of an emergency, does not always justify a dispensing of rules and regulations and laws and policies and principles in the design of programs. So we make a general call for everyone, every citizen of Jamaica, to support and use their influence. We have reached out to persons in the churches, for example, in the entertainment industry. We're reaching out in the political fraternity. We've reached out in the business community. Now, not everyone can immediately come out and say, my fraternity is going to support or my fraternity won't support. Within their fraternity, they will find their own ways of mobilizing. But the government, to be clear, has reached out to all citizens of Jamaica. We do, however, have a national program, and that program has to follow procurement rules. It has to follow all the laws and guidelines and procedures that surround it. And so that will prescribe how we engage. So my short answer to you is, we encourage everyone of all walks of life, wherever you are, whatever your status, whatever your station, if you can support and add your voice, please go ahead and do so. You don't necessarily need to be signed on to a government program. But the government itself, within its own laws, with its own rules and principles, we have designed programs. And those programs, we work together with the various sectors, the various fraternities, and they are mobilizing in their own.
Next question, Prime Minister. Does your indication that Floyd Green will be used in other sections or other areas of the government perhaps undermines the chastening of his resignation?
No. I think it's very important that example be set. That if you hold authority, and in any way that authority which relies upon people's confidence, and you have to have the support of persons, and in any way that confidence might be challenged or eroded, or it could challenge the support you have, then the important thing to do is to step back, as Minister Green has done. However, Minister Green, former Minister Green, still remains a member of Parliament. And in Parliament, there are certain functions which members of Parliament are entitled to do. And within our government, and we have seen where we need to strengthen our committees. And I'm seeing where having former Minister Green being available to serve and lead some of those committees could be quite beneficial.
When we're sending signals about accountability, and we don't dilute them or make them look like they're a facade, former Minister Green did something which was unacceptable to the society, and he had to step back, and that is, I think, the right decision. And I think after an appropriate period of time and due penitence on his part, and showing a new maturity to these important issues, his future will be bright, I'm sure. So, I personally think that this is not the time to be trying to find avenues to serve, to sort of re-accommodate it elsewhere. He's an MP and he can play that role as an MP.
So we're almost at 700,000 people, I guess, at the end of the day, Mark. We crossed the 700,000 mark.
First dose.
Of everybody getting a dose.
Yeah.
So that is significant. I'm seeing the numbers starting to peter out a little bit. And that's the challenge with that, Mark, is that people are reacting by fear. So when the infection numbers are high, the bed counts are high, and the death is high, you will see more people out of fear coming to the center. Now, as I've said before, we can't run the country on fear. We have to run the country on people being informed. And Mark, you did it, but I don't need to stop me right here. And she was saying to me, Prime Minister, it's not that I'm against the vaccine. I'm just not sure if she should take the vaccine. And so I asked her, do you have an underlying condition that was serious? She pointed out to me that she was asthmatic. And I said to her, listen, the disease, COVID-19, affects it's a serious acute respiratory illness. And if you're asthmatic, it is, your lungs and your breathing could be affected. So more than anyone else should consider taking it seriously. But obviously, consult your doctor and make sure. And I pointed out to her that over 2 billion people in the world have taken the vaccine. I just saw that China was putting out that almost 70% of their population would have had one dose. So I believe genuinely that there are some fears and concerns that are real and legitimate. And I believe both of us have never said that those fears should not be contemplated. There are no riskless activity in that. However, on the balance of risks, the risks are far more dangerous and immediate for not taking the vaccine. What we know, 95% of persons in the hospital who are seriously ill with COVID-19 did not take.
I would also say that if we're plateauing a bit, I think we need to ramp up the messaging even more and get some persons like medical practitioners who are good at communication to show why it makes sense, what the risks are, how small those risks are, and what issues may be in people's minds that are not really a reason not to take the step to protect themselves by vaccination, and other influential members of the society, because we really need to ramp this up. If we're getting past 700,000 single doses now, we still have a long way to go. And the procurement of sufficient vaccines is part of the issue that we have to maintain, but also getting people on board. And we've made a good start, but we have a long way to go. So I'd love to encourage more effective messaging and distribution like this. What we're here today in Spanish Town Road in Southwest St. Andrew, Prime Minister and I are both here because we both know that this is a national issue, it's not a political issue. We have to persuade our population to see the benefits of vaccination. The countries that are getting back on their feet are countries which have achieved high levels of vaccination so they can reduce the restrictions and get life back to normal and economic activity can resume fully. Until we get there, we can't really do that. And it's hampering us. So everybody is in our interest as a nation and as individuals to get vaccination unless there is a solid medical reason or a reason of conscience because of your own particular beliefs which say don't do it. But most people are not in that category. Most people are just a little bit unsure or heard some information that they don't understand and which is kind of turning them off, and we need to get to those people and get them on board.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.